I wanted to do another video on converting system fonts to Satin lettering in Inkscape, Inkstitch. I think this is Inkstitch version 3.2.2. I've created the letters CIJLOSZ because they do not intersect. They don't have any intersecting corners or points on them. And these are the easiest letters. This is an Arial font. I've already created them. So with them selected, first thing I want to do is go path, object to path. And then I want to split them apart. So I'm just going to go path, split path for this demonstration. And you can see I have all the letters here as one object or one path. So with that selected, let's lower our opacity down on the lettering. And we're going to use our pencil tool in Inkscape. Let's zoom in on that letter C. And let's begin drawing some rungs. Let me undo that. Across our fill. This letter C is a fill. So with the first rung drawn, I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to continue to draw rungs for my stitch direction all the way around. And then the last one. And with my rungs still selected, I'm going to hold my shift key down and select my letter C, the fill. And then we're going to go extensions, Inkstitch, tool Satin, fill to Satin. I'm going to keep my original fill on the bottom so that we can compare the original fill stitch to what our Satin does. Sometimes we have to go in and clean up some of the ends and our path along the edges of the lettering. So we're just going to hit, I have a center walk underlay turned on and a contour. I have the zigzag off, but after the fact, you can go into params and change any parameters you want to change in that Satin column. We'll close it. And here, let's deselect it and select just our Satin. And we'll go extensions, Inkstitch, params, and take a look at our Satin column. And there it is. We have a center walk underlay and a contour underlay and our Satin column created. Just hit cancel and get out of that. And just basically, let's go to the letter O. All the others, these, like I said, these are the easiest letters to digitize with the fill to Satin method, or any type of conversion that you do, whether you're using the nodes and breaking apart lettering. But here let's turn down our opacity so we can see that. And you can see here are our rungs that we drew. We're going to hold our shift key, select the letter O, extensions, Inkstitch, tools, Satin, fill to Satin, hit apply, and close it. And let's take a look at that letter O. There you go. So again, like I said, these are the easiest letters to digitize with this method, with any of the methods of digitizing. So I got them all selected. We're going to delete them. And I created some other text. I'm just going to use the word hello because these letters, this is an Ananda is the name of this font. And I really like this font. But you can see where they intersect. The H intersects here. They intersect at where they meet. The letter E intersects. The L's where they connect to the next letter intersect. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to, I created the lettering and I sized it the size that I want. First of all, we're going to go path, object to path to convert them to a path. And then I want to split them apart. First of all, let's turn down our opacity so we can see what's happening. Go to our layers and objects so you can see it's only one path, the whole word. If you went to path, break apart, a lot of times that doesn't work very well in Inkscape. So if you go to, with it selected, go to extensions, Inkstitch, tools fill, break apart fill objects. And we're going to hit apply. And you're going to see that now they're all individual letters. You can see where that letter H intersects and actually goes behind the letter E. One thing I noted, they don't always stitch in the correct order. See here, the O wants to stitch first, but we don't want that. We want the first letter to stitch first. We want the E to stitch after the H, this first L to stitch after the E, and so on. We want this letter O to stitch last. So we're going to move that to the top, and we'll just double check again. Actually, this needs to move down, or up, I'm sorry. So H, then the E, then our first L, our second L, and then our letter O. And there's a reason why you want them to stitch in order or be placed in order before this next step, because what I want to do is I don't want to digitize this tail underneath this letter E. So I'm going to go to, with the H and the E selected, I'm going to go to path and flatten. And now you're going to see on this letter H that tail has been broken off. You're going to see on this letter E it still exists. Let's just go run through all of them and do that path flatten. So with the E and the first L selected, we'll go to path flatten. We'll deselect all. We'll select our two L's, go to path flatten, and then we'll do our L and our O, path flatten. All right. So now we should be good. So I'm going to show you two different methods. With the letter H, let's start with our pencil tool. We want to create separation where they are joined or where they connect right here. So we're going to start out here in space and come across this this part of the H and draw our first rung. We'll zoom in a little. I'm going to hold my shift key down, and where I want my next rung is inside here. Let's create our second rung. I'm still holding my shift key. We're going to draw a line across these two to create a bridge. And then we'll finish off holding our shift key and finish this part of the letter H. All right. It will come here. We'll zoom in a little. We'll start here, drawing our rungs. And we want to create a bridge because we want this part of the letter H to continue through. We're still holding our shift key. We'll draw a rung on both ends and create our bridge right here. Holding our shift key, we continue to finish up all of our rungs. Zoom out. So we have all of our rungs selected, and now we're going to hold our shift key and select our H, the fill part of our H. And we're going to go to Extensions, Inkstitch, Tools Satin, Fill to Satin. I have my center walk underlay turned on. I have my contour underlay turned on. And I like to keep my original fill so that I can compare. Sometimes we need to go in and clean up our nodes where our satin column ends, or just straighten out some of the edges. But here you can see our satin group. That's our letter H. So let's go back to params with our Satin group selected and take a look at it. And it's stitching out the way that I want it to. You can change any of your parameters you want. If you want to add a zigzag underlay, go ahead. But we're just going to hit apply and quit. So with the H completed, I'm just going to lock the letter. Actually, let's just lock it. Let's move on to letter H. I'm going to show you a different technique. You can kind of see the separation. If I increase the opacity of this, you can see where that letter E ends and where the letter L begins. But I want to break it apart right here. Let's go back and visit this letter H. Let's do our nodes selection tool, and you can see where we created that bridge here. There's a little cleaning up you need to do. Sometimes you can go to path, simplify, and it makes it a little easier to see your nodes. Let's go path, simplify on that one and see if there's anything we need to clean up. That looks pretty good. Yeah. So there's just a couple of little nodes here on this part of the H. I wanted to straighten out some of these legs. Now let's go to this one. And I want to break this one apart before we create our satin stitch. So I'm going to use my pin tool for this one. I'm going to turn on my snapping tool. I'm going to start out here in space. And then I want to go to this corner here and go up here to this other corner and then end in space and then right click. And we're going to create a division between this two connecting points. Let me turn off this snapping tool now. And with my my line selected, I want to narrow that down. Actually, we can go as small as 0.005. And with it selected, we'll hold our shift key and select the rest of our letter E. And we're going to go to path, flatten. We're going to select that line again. And you can see where it created a separation where it connects on the letter E. So now with it connected, we don't need to draw our bridges. You can just come to your pencil tool and begin drawing your rungs. I'm holding my shift key down, creating my rungs. And again, we don't need to create a bridge. With our we have our rung selected, we're going to hold our shift key and select our letter, our fill, and go to extensions, Inkstitch, tools, satin, fill to satin, hit apply, and close. You can see right here, let's go to our nodes tool. Let me do one more thing. This is our letters. I think that's our fill. Yeah, I'm just going to lock our fill. Let's go back to our satin. I'm going to go to path, simplify to reduce the number of nodes. And right here, you can extend your nodes into the this part of your letter so that it doesn't create a gap. Usually your push-pull compensation will normally take care of that, but you just want to make sure that you don't have a gap there. So I'm just going to extend these end nodes a little bit underneath the next letter. And what I want is this letter E is I want it to start stitching here and continue around so that these end stitches are covered by this other stitch. So with it selected, let's go to extension Inkstitch params and see which way it's stitching out. And it is going the way backwards from how I want it to stitch. So let's go here and reverse both our rails and have it stitch the direction we want it to stitch. And here you can see where this stitch will cover where it begins, and we'll just hit apply and quit. And you just keep on going down the line. These letter L's will be easy. We'll just let me deselect everything, and let's begin with our rungs, holding our shift key, and just draw our rungs here. Just going to quickly move through this. Here again, we're going to start out in space. Let's turn on our snapping tool. Start out in space to this corner, and then end in space again. We'll reduce the size of that line to 0.005. Turn off our snapping tool. And with our line selected, let's select our fill. Go to path, flatten. We'll select that, get our selection tool and delete it, and you can see the separation. Yeah, so let's go in and draw our rungs now. First of all, let's back up a little bit. Let's undo what we've done. Let's turn on our nodes tool and select. We'll do that right now. So I want this to follow the contour of the letter O. So I'm just going to create a curve in that where I'm going to separate this letter O, because I don't want it to just go straight across. I want it to follow a contour. So with our line, our division line, we have it selected. We're going to select our letter. We're going to go to path, flatten. Okay, so we can go in and remove that. You can see where our letter's divided. Let's begin drawing our rungs. Start here, zoom out. I'm going to hold my shift key and just work our way around. Well, we have our rung selected. Let's select our fill, letter O, extensions, Inkstitch, tool Satin, fill the Satin, apply. And here you have your Satin letter O. Let's turn on our nodes tool. We'll go path, simplify. And sorry, let's zoom in a little bit. And let's go in and lock our letter C. Lock it. And we can come here and extend. Well, let's see. You probably delete that. We'll just extend these in a little bit. If you want to clean up some of these edges, again, some of these end points, they don't. Sometimes you have to go in and clean them up, is what I'm getting at. Let's extend these a little bit. Yeah. Delete that node. Okay. let's go in and lock all of our fills. All right, so with everything selected, let's go visit this again. We need to make sure that this is sewing in the right direction, so we'll go extensions, Inkstitch params, and it is not, so let's reverse both rails. And that's the direction I wanted. Let's hit apply and quit. So let's go in and select all of our satin stitches and go extensions, Inkstitch, visualize, and simulator. And you can see we only have one jump, and that is because I wanted this section of the letter H to be underneath this section, and there's just no getting around that. But if you prefer, you can digitize it and have this stitch out first and have no jump stitches. But this is how I like to digitize. I want that bottom piece to be underneath this part of the H. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.